In problems 13 through 18, we are given a fairly straightforward geometric figure compared to the ones that come later. These are all fairly straightforward. And we're asked to find their area in square millimeters and then in square centimeters. So the square millimeter part is usually not a problem. Let's do an easy example here before we look at one of the harder ones. Square millimeters, this is a rectangle. So the area is just going to be 55 times 25 square millimeters. And there's my calculator. 55 times 25 is 1,375 square millimeters. I got the right numbers, 55, 25. And that's the easy part. The harder part is to change this to square centimeters. You have two possible ways to approach that. One is to change these millimeter measurements into centimeter measurements before you start. So let's look at how to do that. Okay, so this is a rectangle. And we want to change millimeters, this is 55 millimeters, that's 25 millimeters, into centimeters. Let's see. Let's remember the prefixes. Kangaroos hop down, wait, that's right. Except I usually say King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. And this is deca, right? So this is kilo, hecto, deca. This is your base unit, grams or meters or liters, or this is deci, centi, and milli. The nice thing about SI, remember, is that we are not getting new units for smaller or larger quantities. In the English system, we've got inches, and if you go larger than inches, you got feet, and there are 12 of them. And larger than feet, you've got yards, and there are 3. And those 12s and 3s and 5,280s, those all cause a little bit of trouble. So the SI system, everything is based on tens. This is 10 base units. If I say decameter, that means 10 meters. Hecto is 100. And what I guess gets lost, what maybe I didn't emphasize enough there, is if this is 10 meters and this is 100 meters, then a hectometer is 10 decameters. And a kilometer is 10 hectometers, and 100 decameters, and 1,000 of the base unit meters. A base unit is, so meter, let's say meter. A meter is 10 decimeters. It's 100 centimeters. So a decimeter is 10 centimeters. A centimeter is 10 millimeters. A decimeter is 100 millimeters. There's all these comparisons of tens here. No 12s, no 3s, no 1760s, nothing like that. All 10s. So 10 of these make one of those, 10 of those make one of these, 10 decis make a base, 10 bases make a deca, 10 decas make a hecto, 10 hectos make a kilo. A kilo is therefore 1,000 of the base unit. So when we look back here, if I want to change millimeters to centimeters, couple of ways to do it. We looked. One way to do it is, what is this? 55 millimeters. 55 millimeters times, I want millimeters down here. 10 millimeters make 1 centimeter. So that's 55 divided by 10, 5.5 centimeters. The other way to do it that works, remember, for put the decimal place in my original number, 55. The decimal place goes at millimeters. because this is 55 millimeters. So 55 millimeters. Then move the decimal place to the beginning of where you want it to be. Let's see, I want it to be centimeters. So I'll move the decimal place to right after centimeters. And that would be, if I move it there, 5.5 centimeters. So this is 5.5 centimeters. You could do the same thing to figure out this is 2.5 centimeters. So this is 5.5, this is 2.5 centimeters. And so the area is 5.5 times 2.5 square centimeters. Because now these measurements are in centimeters. That's 13.75 square centimeters. The other way you could do this is to directly change square millimeters to square centimeters. That using this kind of process, the multiplying by 1. That is where we sometimes run into difficulties. 1,375 square millimeters. And you might try this. You might say, well, I know that 10 millimeters is 1 centimeter. But if you remember your rules from algebra for canceling, I've only got 1 millimeter here. I've got millimeters times millimeters here. If I try to cancel, this millimeter will only cancel with one of those millimeters, and I'll still have a millimeter up here. If I'm going to cancel square centimeters, I need square millimeters, I need 2 copies of this. So notice what this part all by itself is. It's 1 centimeter times 1 centimeter. That's 1 square centimeter. And this is 10 millimeters times 10 millimeters. That's 100 square millimeters. You don't have to do this part. You could just know that that millimeter and that millimeter together cancel those 2 millimeters that are being multiplied. And that comes out to 13.75 square millimeters.